Hey guys, and today we are going to be ranking every NFL team on a tier list. I did my division predictions a while ago. Some of my opinions have changed, and this is just more general than the division prediction shorts. But yeah, I haven't uploaded because even when I was uploading consistent shorts, they weren't getting views. I've been doing other stuff. But I'll try and get back on the grind of uploading daily. But I can't promise anything. So we're gonna start off with the NFC North. Oh, first I should say what the teams are. So they're Super Bowl contenders. I'm only putting a couple teams in there. Elite is mostly who I think will win their division unless it's a really bad division. And in good divisions, I'll sometimes put the second best team in there. Potential wild cards, some of these teams will make the playoffs, some of them won't. Mediocre, I mean they're hovering around a winning record. And basement, they're one of the worst teams. I'll probably say like the bottom five for basement. So we're gonna start off with the Lions. Just for context, my favorite teams are like the Lions, the Rams, the Bucks, and the Bengals. I'm putting the Lions in a lead. I think they're gonna win their division, and they're one of the favorites to come out of that. They're like the fourth favorite to win the NFC. I think the favorites are the Eagles, the 49ers, the Cowboys, and then the Lions. So they can definitely go in a lead. They could surprise a lot of people. So now for the Vikings, I'm putting them in potential wild cards. Even though they did have a very good record last year, they had a negative run differential. All the other teams in the NFC North got better. So I think the Vikings might miss the playoffs. I still think they will make it, but they have a chance to miss. For the Packers, I think I'm going to put them in mediocre, and same with the Bears. Both of them, or the Packers are like gonna soon probably have to go into a rebuild, and the Bears are coming out of a rebuild. The Bears are coming out of the basement. The Packers, I think, are coming down from potential wildcards to mediocre. I don't think the Packers have what it takes to make the playoffs, but they could prove me wrong over the Vikings. And yeah, the Bears could surprise people too. In my short I predicted the Bears to finish ahead of the Packers too, but that might not happen. So and now we're moving on to the West. I'm gonna put the Eagles as the first team in Super Bowl contenders, and they're going to be the only team from the NFC that I put in, and all of a few from the AFC. They're obviously really good. They even got better. So the Lions did almost beat them last year, though. Next up, they're going to do the Cowboys. I'm going to put them in elite. They're also one of the favorites to win the NFC along with the Lions. But they're in a pretty tough division, so you never know. And I think I'm going to put both the Giants and the Commanders in potential wild cards. I don't think either of them will make it, but it's possible. Because so far I already have two of my wild card picks with the Vikings and the Cowboys. So the Giants and the Commanders are just in too good of a division. I think that's why they won't make it. One of them might make it over the Vikings though. Now we're moving on to the West. Originally I had the Rams below the Cardinals. I think that was a pretty big mistake. We're gonna put the Rams in mediocre. I think they can bounce back, but they're not gonna be that good. They'll probably be around 500 if I think that would be a success for them to have a winning record and get back into almost being in a playoff spot. Now, originally I didn't like the Rams, but when I was a Lions fan when Stafford got traded, so then I started liking the Rams. And the 49ers I'm going to put into elite. I don't think they're good enough to be in Super Bowl contenders, especially with Brock Purdy. He needs to have another good season to prove that he's not just inconsistent. And now for the Seahawks, I'm going to put them in potential wildcards. I think they're the third wildcard team. I think it will be the Cowboys, the Vikings, and the Seahawks. But the Seahawks are also pretty good. They barely made the playoffs last year. The Lions should have. The reffing in the Seahawks-Rams game was terrible, but yeah. The Cardinals, I'm gonna put them in basement. I don't really care about the Cardinals. I didn't realize that they were tanking. So um that's the first basement team. So now on to the South. Wait, what happened to the which team is missing? Where are the Falcons? The Falcons. Originally I did the Saints, or I think I originally did the Falcons, Saints, Panthers, and 49ers, but I think I'm going to put Carolina. I can't put Carolina in elite. I'll just put them in potential wild cards because it basically is a wild card because any of the teams could make it because they're all not that good. But yeah, they could make it, but they're not even close to being elite. They're like the worst team to make the playoffs. For the Bucks, I'm gonna put them in basement. I just don't think they're good, even though I like them because I like all Tampa sports teams. For the Saints, I'm gonna put them in mediocre, but I think they could take. I'm gonna put them in mediocre. I think they could take it from the Panthers, and then the Falcons. I'm also gonna put in mediocre. So that's the NFC. So far we have one Super Bowl contender, 3 elite teams, 5 potential wildcards, 5 mediocre, and 2 basement. So now moving on to the AFC. For the North, I'm going to put the Ravens in elite. They're just in a tough division. Again, the North has really got better in both conferences. Like, the Steelers and Browns are both also good. But I think just all Baltimore will be the only wild card team from the North because the West, obviously the Chargers and Chiefs both have to make it in the East. The wild cards in the AFC are going to be crazy. Like all the teams from the North are competing. All the teams from the East can do it. The Chargers and maybe the Titans, but now for the Bengals, they're going to be a Super Bowl contender. They got better on the offensive line, so I think this could be second time they'll make it out of the AFC, but it's hard to tell when you have the Chiefs and the Bills both in there. Now for the Browns, I'm going to put them in. The Browns and the Steelers, I'm both going to put in potential wild cards because I think they're in that category, but I don't think they will make the playoffs. But I think the Browns might finish ahead of the Steelers. I just don't like Pittsburgh teams, but the Browns are not terrible for once, and they're okay. Same with the Steelers. So now for the Bills, moving on to the East, I'll put the Bills in Super Bowl contenders. They're just like if they're in the NFC, they could probably make it. They would have made it out years ago, but there's just 3 good teams in the AFC that are gonna dominate for quite a while longer. Yeah, they're good. I just don't think they're good enough to make it out. But if they do, they could easily beat the. They easily have a shot at beating the Eagles or whoever else comes out of the NFC. Okay, I'm gonna put the Patriots in mediocre. I just think this division's too good for them to make it out. They could probably do a lot better in another division, but not in the East. Now for the I really think I want to put the Dolphins in elite, but I think I'm discounting the Jets too much if I do that. So I'm gonna put both of them in potential wild cards because I think one of those two teams will make a wild card spot, and then the Ravens and then the Chargers. So I would like to put them in elite, but it's not like they're playoff locks. I if two is healthy, then the Dolphins will make it. Otherwise, the Jets might make it, but if Rodgers doesn't play good, then that's not. So now on to the West. We're obviously putting the Chiefs in Super Bowl contenders. They just won the Super Bowl. They're really good, but they might not be able to make it out. They almost lost to the Bengals this year, so I'm going to put the Chargers in elite. They should probably be a playoff lock unless something really bad happens, but it's just hard for them to make it any good playoff runs with. I mean, I guess they'll probably have to play the Jaguars, but the Jaguars have gotten a lot better. Maybe they can make the second round, but that's probably it. The Broncos, I'm gonna put them in mediocre. Um, I think they can do better with Russell Wilson, but they're not gonna make the playoffs. And I'm gonna put the Raiders in basement. Um, there's not a lot of basement teams. A lot of teams in the AFC and NFC are contending. It's just not one division where when the AFC is kind of two, but every team's competing in the North, every team's competing in the East. And now for the last division, I'm going to put the Titans in mediocre. I don't think they'll be close to challenging the Jaguars, but they're not going to be terrible. I'll put the Jaguars in elite. Just like the Chargers, they're a good team with a good quarterback, but it'll just be hard for them to make it out with such a stacked AFC. I'll put the Colts in basement. I don't know. I think the Texans could go in mediocre, but I'll just stay safe and put them in basement. But they could be mediocre. So yeah, guys, that's my tier list. So we have the Eagles, Bengals, Bills, and Chiefs and Super Bowl contenders for elite. We have the Lions, Cowboys, 49ers, Ravens, Chargers, and Jaguars. And then for potential wild cards, there are a lot of them. Especially when you consider there's already 10 teams in the top two tiers, which means only 4 of these teams will get the spot. Well, the Panthers. So then only 3 if the Panthers win their division. So Vikings, Giants, Commanders, Seahawks, Browns, Steelers, Dolphins, Jets. Then we have the Packers, Bears, Rams, Saints, Falcons, Patriots, Broncos, and Titans in mediocre. And the Cardinals, Bucks, Raiders, Colts, and Texans in basement. So thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to subscribe and bye. Yee.